Hi, John here from defeatingdivorce.com, and in this video I'm going to reveal the 6 signs of a failing marriage. Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified whenever we publish new videos. Unfortunately, my wife and I are very familiar with the signs of a failing marriage because at one point we were feeling helpless in our relationship and even leaning towards getting a divorce. To be honest, our marriage was extremely toxic and displayed a handful of these signs that I'm going to share. However, despite this being a very difficult time for both of us, we ultimately were able to save our marriage and are very happy in our relationship today. So let's dive right in. Number 1. Constantly critiquing. The kind of critiquing I'm talking about here is when your spouse starts to attack your character and personality. These attacks are critical and intended to hurt and attack who you are as an individual. It is important to gauge how often this is occurring in your relationship along with the intensity of it. Criticism creates distrust in your marriage, and speaking negatively all the time could be a sure sign of an unhealthy relationship in addition to a looming divorce. Number 2. Holding your spouse in contempt. This kind of communication is where your spouse tries to make fun or belittle you with the sole intent of making you feel worthless, inadequate, or inferior. This type of superiority complex can be shown through name-calling, mockery, and body language such as eye-rolling. Contempt is disrespectful and breeds distrust, which will indefinitely weaken the relationship. If you're constantly reminded that they don't respect you, this could be a huge indication that your marriage may eventually be headed towards divorce. Number 3. Always being defensive. In this scenario, you may be in a relationship with someone who always wants to deflect blame and refuses to take ownership of an issue. Instead, you're made to feel like everything is your fault. For instance, when you have an argument, your partner will likely create an excuse or reject any credit for the problems that they've caused and pass the blame somewhere else. Number 4. Shutting down and throwing in the towel. A major red flag. This happens when your spouse refuses to talk or engage. When conflict arises or disagreement occurs, they're essentially silent and show no interest in resolving it. This type of behavior is basically a sign of not caring about the marriage. If your communication in a marriage starts to lose strength or momentum, then your marriage is in trouble. Keep in mind, if you don't communicate, you will never resolve anything. Number 5. You feel better when your spouse is not around. Maybe after your spouse leaves, you finally feel like you have some me time. Perhaps you feel smothered when they're around and now you finally get to have some privacy. Or maybe you feel as if in this solitude you can truly be yourself and let your guard down. Perhaps if it was up to you, you wouldn't share a bed with them, or maybe you already don't. Needing alone time is totally normal. However, if you would prefer to be alone more times than being with your spouse, that's where it begins to become a problem. Number 6. It has become clear that you no longer love them. The spark is gone, perhaps you have difficulty telling your spouse that you love them, the intimacy is not there, and having sex feels like a chore. The desire to even spend time alone with them isn't there for you. You view your spouse as someone who you just have to deal with. Perhaps if your spouse expresses a romantic or sexual interest in you, you feel uncomfortable. If being intimate both emotionally and physically with your spouse has started to feel like work and make you feel uncomfortable, then chances are you may not be in love with them anymore. It is important to remember that even if your marriage is categorized by these signs, it doesn't necessarily mean you and your spouse are headed towards a divorce. It also doesn't mean you can't undo the damage. My wife and I have put together a free guide that outlines 5 mistakes to avoid during a marriage crisis. This guide is aimed at helping you carefully navigate this difficult time in your marriage by avoiding 5 killer mistakes that cause even the happiest of marriages to fail. This 100% free guide has 5 action plans you can utilize to save your marriage now. This guide is concise, to the point, and addresses 5 behaviors that are detrimental to any marriage. Again, this guide is aimed at helping couples survive those periods of time in a rocky marriage. Access your complete guide by typing into your browser www.defeatingdivorce.com or by clicking the link in the video description below. Again, my name is John and I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more helpful content on how to save your marriage. Comment below if you have any questions for me. I'm not a professional, but Emily and I are always happy to help. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.